Through this tape are made available the words of the world's greatest contemporary mystic, Osho. Thousands of his discourse tapes are available worldwide. Many people have been transformed through listening to them. This is an invitation to experience the vision of Osho. In this excerpt, Osho talks on our judgments and how they cut us off from the world around us.
Jesus says, "Judge ye not." And this is one of the greatest sayings ever uttered by any man on the earth. It is one of the most impossible things for the mind. The mind judges immediately, without any grounds. The mind takes the judgment. You have taken many judgments without ever looking whether grounds exist for them or not. And if you look deep, you will find Jesus is right. Every judgment is wrong. Because the whole world is so deeply interconnected. Unless you know the whole, you cannot know the parts. One thing leads to another because it is interlinked. The present moment is interlinked with all the past. The present moment is interlinked with all the future. In this moment culminates all eternity. All that has happened is there. All that is happening is there. All that will ever happen is there. How can you judge? The world is not divided. If it was divided, then a fragment can be known. But the world is a totality. All judgments are false because they will be partial and they will claim as if they are the wholes. Yes, Jesus is absolutely right. Judge ye not. Because the very judgment will close you. It will be a deadness within. Your sensitivity will be lost and your possibility for growth. The moment you judge, you shrink. The moment you judge, you stop. The moment you judge, you are no more flowering then. So the greatest thing is to be courageous enough not to judge. In fact, it is the greatest courage to suspend judgment. Because the mind is so eager to judge, to say good or bad, right or wrong. The mind is juvenile. It jumps from one judgment to another. If you want ever to get out of the mind, and without it, there is no possibility for your inner growth, then judge ye not. I will tell you a small story. It happened in the days of Lao Tse in China. And Lao Tse loved it very much. And for generations, the followers of Lao Tse have been repeating their story and always finding more and more meaning in it. Their story has grown. It has become a life factor. The story is simple. There was an old man in a village, very poor. But even kings were jealous of him because he had a beautiful white horse. Such a horse was never seen before. The beauty, the very grandeur, the strength. Kings have asked for the horse and they have offered fabulous prices, but the old man will say, this horse is not a horse to me, he is a person. And how can you sell a person? He is a friend. He is not a possession. How can you sell a friend? No, it is not possible. The man was poor. There was every temptation, but he never sold the horse. But one day morning, suddenly he found the horse is not in the stable. The whole village gathered and they said, you foolish old man, we knew it beforehand that someday the horse will be stolen. And you are so poor, how can you protect such a precious thing? It was better to sell it. You could have fetched any price you had asked. Any fancy price was possible. Now, the horse is gone. It is a curse, a misfortune. The old man said, don't go too far. Simply say that the horse is not in the stable. This is the fact. Everything else is a judgment. Whether it is a misfortune or not, how do you know? How you judge? The people said, don't try to be foolish. We may not be great philosophers, but no philosophy is needed. This is a simple fact that a treasure has been lost, and it is a misfortune. The old man said, I will stick to the fact that the stable is empty and the horse has gone. Anything else I don't know, whether it is a misfortune or a blessing. Because this is just a fragment. Who knows what is going to follow it? People laughed. They thought the old man has gone mad also. They always knew it that he was a little crazy. Otherwise he would have sold his horse and lived in riches. But he was living like a woodcutter, and he was very old and still cutting wood and bringing the wood from the forest and selling it. He was living hand to mouth in misery and poverty. Now it is completely certain that this man is crazy. After 15 days, suddenly one night the horse returned. He was not stolen. He had escaped to the wilderness. And not only he came back, he came with a dozen wild horses with him. Again the people gathered and they said, old man, you were right and we were wrong. It was not a misfortune. It proved to be a blessing. We are sorry that we insisted. The old man said, again you are going too far. Just say that the horse is back and say that 12 horses have come with the horse. But don't judge. Who knows whether it is a blessing or not? It is only a fragment. Unless you know the whole story, how can you judge? You read one page of a book, how can you judge the whole book? You read a sentence in a page, how can you judge the whole page? You read a single word in a sentence, how can you judge the whole sentence? And even a single word is not in the hand. Life is so vast. A fragment of a word, and you have judged the whole. Don't say that this is a blessing. Nobody knows. And I am happy in my no judgment. Don't disturb me. This time the people could not say much. Maybe the old man is again right, so they kept silent. But inside they knew well that he is wrong. 12 beautiful horses has come with the horse. A little training and they all can be sold, and they will fetch much money. The old man had a young son, only one son, and the young son started to train the wild horses. Just a week after, he fell from a wild horse. His legs were broken. The people gathered again. And people are everywhere. People like you, everywhere. They again judged. Judgment comes so soon. They said, you were right. Again you proved right. It was not a blessing. It was again a misfortune. Your only son has lost his legs. In old age, he was the only support. Now you are poorer than ever. The old man said, you are obsessed with judgment. Don't go that far. Say only that my son has broken his legs, but who knows, this is a misfortune or a blessing. Nobody knows. Again a fragment, and more is never given to you. Life comes in fragments, and judgment is about the total. And it happened that after a few weeks, the country went to war with a neighboring country, and all the young men of the town were forcibly taken for the military. Only the old man's son was left because he was crippled. The people gathered, crying, weeping, because from every house, young people had been forcibly taken away. And there was no possibility of their coming back, because the country that has attacked was a big country, and the fight was a losing fight. They were not going to come back. The whole town was crying and weeping, and they came to the old man and they said, you were right, old man. Who knows? You were right. This proved a blessing. Maybe the son is crippled, but still he is with you. Our sons are gone forever. At least he is alive and with you. And by he is starting walking. Maybe a little limp will be left, but he will be okay. The old man said, it is impossible to talk to you people. You go on and on and on. You go on judging. Nobody knows. Only say this, that your sons have been forced to enter into the military, into the army. My son has not been forced, but nobody knows whether it is a blessing or a misfortune. Nobody will ever be able to know it. Only God knows. And when we say only God knows, it means only the total knows. Judge ye not. Otherwise, you will never be able to become one with the total. With fragments, you will be obsessed. With small things, you jump and take conclusions. And Sufis are very insistent on this, that you never bother that there are things which are completely beyond you. Even about them, you take judgments. Your consciousness is on a very lower ladder. You live in the dark valley of misery, anguish, and from your darkest valleys of miseries, you judge even a Buddha. Even a Buddha is not left without your judgment. Even a Jesus is judged by you, not only judged, but crucified, judged and found guilty, judged and punished. You live in the valley, dark, damp. You have not seen the peaks even in your dreams. You cannot even imagine them, because even imagination needs a base in experience. You cannot dream about something which is absolutely unknown, because even dreaming comes out of your knowledge. You cannot dream about God. You cannot imagine God. You cannot imagine the peaks and the life that exists there in a Buddha. But you judge. You say, yes, this man is a Buddha, this man is not a Buddha, this man is enlightened and this man is not. The enlightened person is not harmed by you, because he cannot be harmed in any way. But you are harmed by your judgment. Once you judge, you have stopped growing. Judgment means a stale state of mind. Now the movement has stopped. The effort to know more has stopped. The effort to grow has stopped. You have already taken the judgment and it is finished. And the mind always wants to be in a judgment, because movement is troublesome. To be in a process is always hazardous. To come to a conclusion means you have reached the goal. Now there is no journey. A man who wants to journey to the ultimate should make it a basic point not to judge. Very difficult, almost impossible, because before you know, the mind judges. Before even you have become aware, the mind has judged. But if you try, by and by, a subtle awareness arises, and then you can suspend judgment. If you suspend judgment, you have become religious. Then you don't know what is right and what is wrong. But ordinarily, the people you call religious are the people who know everything, what is right and what is wrong, what to do and what not to do. They have all the commandments with them. That's why religious people become pig-headed, thick-skinned. Their journey has stopped. They are not growing at all. The river is not moving. It has become still. If you want movement, growth, an infinite movement and growth is possible. Because God is not a static point. God is the total movement of life existence. If you want to walk with God, you have to move continuously. You have to be continuously on the journey. In fact, the journey never ends. One path ends, another opens. One door closes, another opens. A higher peak is always there. You reach to a peak and you were just going to rest and thinking everything is achieved. Suddenly, a higher peak is still there. From peak to peak. And it comes never to an end. It is an endless journey. God is an endless journey. That's why only those who are very, very courageous, so much courageous that they don't bother about the goal, but are so content with the journey, just to move with life, float with the river, just to live the moment and grow into it. Only those are able to walk with God. Goal-oriented people are mediocre. Your all achievers are mediocre. What can you achieve? Can you achieve the supreme? If you can achieve the supreme just by your achievement, it will not be a supreme. You could achieve it, how can it be a supreme? Can you reach to the goal, then the goal will be lesser than you. No, the goal cannot be reached. In fact, there is no goal. And it is good that there is no goal. That's why life is deathless, because every goal will be a death. Then you are no more needed. A man who judges too much is stopping his growth from everywhere. And once judgments settle inside, you become incapable to see the new. The judgment won't allow, because the judgment will be disturbed by the new. Then you will live with closed eyes. You are not blind. Nobody is blind. But everybody behaves like a blind man. Has to. Judgments are there. If you open the eyes, the fear is you may have to see something. Something may be encountered. And you may have to change the judgment. And judgment is so cozy. You have settled in a house and forgotten the roads and the journey and the effort and the continuous movement and the danger and the hazards. You have forgotten the adventure. You have closed yourself into a small house, cozy, comfortable. Now you are afraid to look out of the window. You keep it shut. Now you are afraid to open the door. Who knows? Some strange fact may enter from there and disturb all your comfort and all your coziness and your security. That's why you behave like a blind man. You are not blind, you are cunning. Through your cunningness you have become blind. And the mind immediately takes judgments. That is how to avoid the journey. That is an escape. People come to me. Many sorts of people. But they can be divided basically into two types. One is who is ready to open the eyes, and one is who is not ready to open the eyes. The one who is ready to open the eyes, much is possible to him. The one who is not ready to open the eyes, nothing is possible. He is already in the grave. He is no more alive. He does not allow new winds to pass through his being. He does not allow new flowers to open into his being. He does not allow anything unknown. He is afraid. He moves on a settled path, and he moves in a circle. Because nothing is more settled than a circle. You come upon the same things again and again and again. He lives like a gramophone record. Again and again and again the same. And then you say that we are bored. Nobody else is responsible. A bored person is a person who has remained with closed eyes. Boredom is part of it. A man who lives with open eyes is never bored. Life is so enchanting. Life is so magical. Life is such a miracle. Every moment, millions of miracles happening all around you, but you living with closed eyes with your judgments. You pass a flower, and if somebody says beautiful, you look, but you don't look. You say, yes, a rose flower, very beautiful. But you are repeating something from the past. A gramophone record. You have said the same thing too many times. To each flower you have said that. It has become a rubbish with no significance. You simply utter it because silence will be awkward. Somebody says beautiful flower and you remain silent. It may be awkward, embarrassing. So you utter something, yes, the flower is beautiful. Neither you see the flower nor the beauty. It is a glitch. And then you say you are bored. You love a woman. And even hours have not passed. The honeymoon is not over. And already dust had started collecting around your woman. She is no more as beautiful as she used to be just few hours before. She is no more as significant as she used to be. What has happened? You think you have come to know her, you have judged. You feel now she is no more a stranger, you know her. How you know a person? A person is an infinite process. You can never know a person. In the morning, the flower is different because the morning is different and the sun is rising and the birds are singing. And the flower is part of the whole. On the petals of the flower you can sing the song of the birds in the morning. You can see the new rays penetrating it. New life throbbing in it. In the afternoon it is a different flower. The whole climate has changed. The sun is no more the same. The birds are not singing. It is already dying. The sun has started setting already. The evening is reaching. The flower is becoming sadder and sadder. It is a new mood. It is not the same flower you saw in the morning. In the evening, the flower is going to die. It is sad, the very heart. Even if it sings a song, it is a sad song. You can see your own death in the flower if you are alert. You can see in the flower dying life and death meeting together. life transforming itself into death. It is totally a different mood. You cannot know even a flower in its totality because millions of moods. How can you know a person? A person is a flowering consciousness, the greatest flower that has become possible through millennia of evolution. How can you know your wife? The moment you think you have known, you are finished. You have taken a judgment. You are already seeking another woman now. No, a wife remains a stranger if your eyes are clean. And you will come across many climates, many moods, many phases. In the being of your wife, in the being of your husband, in the being of your child, in the being of your friend, in the being of your enemy. Nobody ever comes to know anything. But mind is cunning. Mind wants knowledge. Because only with knowledge you are secure. With strangers there is insecurity. With unknown surrounding everywhere, you feel afraid. You don't know where you are. When you don't know the situation, the people, the flowers, the trees, that which surrounds you, when you don't know who you are. Your own identity is lost. Feeling certain that you know your wife, your child, your friends, your society, this and that, and you know the history and the geography, and all this knowledge surrounding you, suddenly you feel who you are, the knower. The ego arises, strengthens. Knowledge is food for the ego. Ignorance is death for the ego. And death of the ego is the life for you. And life of the ego is death for you. Don't settle. This is the meaning of the homeless sannyasin. In India we have tried it. One becomes a wanderer, homeless, uprooted, roots nowhere, so no identity. One lives with the unknown moment to moment. Everything surprises. To you nothing surprises. You know everything. How can anything surprise you? Nothing amazes. Everything surprises when you live in ignorance. When you live in not knowing. Everything is new. There is nothing to compare it. There is nothing to relate it to the past. There is nothing to relate it to the future. Everything is unique. It has never been before, it will be never again. If you miss it this moment, you will miss it forever. There is no going back. Every moment is a new mood in existence. Either you enjoy it, live it, or you miss it. Through knowledge you miss it, because you say, I know. If I tell you, come out of your house, the sun has arisen, it is beautiful, you say, I know. Many times, many mornings, I have arisen earlier and I have seen it. I know, don't disturb me. But this day's sun has never been there before. And this day's you have never been there before. And this day's me calling you, come out, has never been before. Everything is absolutely new, absolutely original. Just your mind is old. Through knowledge, mind becomes old. When you are old, everything looks dusty, used second hand. Then you get bored. Boredom shows that you don't know how to live in ignorance. A child is never bored. Everything surprises, amazes. He lives continuously in wonder, and this is the quality of a religious mind, to live continuously in wonder, constantly in wonder, to make wonder your very style of being. Then suddenly you see the whole world is totally different. It is not the world you used to know. Because you are not the same, the world cannot be the same. Don't judge, and don't make an imprisonment out of your knowledge. Remain free, uprooted, homeless. These are symbols. A homeless sannyasi means uprooted from the past. He has no roots in the past. Not that he simply wanders like a vagabond. His vagabondry is deeper. Spiritually he is the vagabond. Just going from one country to another won't help much. Sooner or later you will settle somewhere. You will make a home. Even hippies, sooner or later will settle. You don't see very old hippies. A phase. One moves from here and there outwardly, then gets fed up with it. Then one settles. And remember, when a hippie settles, nobody settles like him. An ordinary straight person always feels the call to become a vagabond. An innermost call is always there. He may be settled with a wife and children and a good job, but the call goes on haunting in dreams, in daydreams, in imagination. It continuously calls him to become a vagabond. But when a hippie settles, he settles absolutely. He has known what it is to be a vagabond. He is finished with it. Again, knowledge. He has known. When we say, or when I say, become homeless, I don't mean literally. I mean live inside a homeless life, unsettled, uprooted, with no past. Just this moment, the total, as if this moment the all. Then suddenly you become aware of the hidden, aware of the invisible, aware of the unknown surrounding from everywhere. It is a vast ocean of absolutely new facts arising and disappearing. Life has never been old. Life has never been second-hand. It is original. It is the nature of it to be original and new. Only your mind goes old, then you miss it. And to live continuously in the new, you have to stop judging. Then the highest consciousness will explode in you. Judgment is a barrier. And not only ordinary things you judge. Judging becomes a habit. So you cannot help. The moment something is there, you immediately judge. Not a single moment is lost. And when you come to a person like Buddha or Junnun, the Sufi master, you are near the original source of a consciousness constantly renewed. Nothing is old. Nothing comes out of the past. The mind comes out of the past. The consciousness is never out of the past. The consciousness comes out of this moment. The mind is time and consciousness is eternity. The mind moves from one moment to another on the horizontal plane. It is like a railway train, many compartments joined together. Past and future like a train, many compartments joined together on a horizontal plane. Consciousness is vertical. It doesn't come from the past. It doesn't go into the future. This moment, it falls vertically in the depth, or it rises vertically into the height. This is the meaning of Christ on cross. And Christians have missed the meaning completely. Cross is nothing but a representation, a symbol of two lines meeting, the vertical and the horizontal. Christ's hands are spread on the horizontal. His whole being, except the hands, is on the vertical. What is the meaning? The meaning is action is in time, being is beyond time. Hands symbolize action. Jesus is crucified, his hands on the horizontal, in time. Action is in time. Thinking is an act. It is action of mind. That too is in time. It would be good to know that hands are the outermost part of the brain. They are one, the mind and the hand. The head is joined with the hands. Your head has two hemispheres. The right hemisphere is joined with the left hand, and the left hemisphere is joined with the right hand. Your hands are the reaches of the mind into the world. The reaches of the mind into matter. Because mind is also a subtle matter. All action, physical or mental, is in time. Your being is vertical. It goes in depth, it goes in height, not by sideways. When you judge, you become more and more identified with the horizontal. Because how you will judge? For judgment, past will be needed. Can you judge something without bringing past in? How you will judge? From where you will get the criterion? You say this face is beautiful. How do you judge? Do you know what beauty is? How do you judge this face is beautiful? You have known many faces. You have heard many people talking about beautiful faces. You have read in the novels. You have seen in the movies. You have accumulated a notion in the past what beauty is. It is a very vague notion. You cannot define it. If somebody insists, you will feel puzzled and confused. It is a very vague notion, like a cloud. Then you say, this face is beautiful. How do you know? You are bringing your past experience in, comparing this face with that vague notion of beauty that you have accumulated through experience. If you don't bring the past in, then a totally different quality of beauty will happen. It will not be your judgment. It will not come from your mind. It will not be imposed. It will not be an interpretation. It will be simply a participation with this face here and now. A deep participation with this mystery, this person here and now. In that moment, the person is neither beautiful nor ugly. All judgments have disappeared. An unknown mystery, unnamed, unjudged, and only in that unjudged moment love flowers. Love is not possible with the mind. With the mind, sex is possible. With the mind, act is possible. Sexuality is an act. Love is not an act. It is a state of being. It is vertical. When you look at a person and participate with no judgment, either of beautiful or ugly, or of good and bad, sinner or saint, you don't judge. You simply look in the eyes with no judgment, and suddenly a meeting, a merging of energies. And this merging is beautiful. And this beauty is totally different from all the beauties that you have known. You have known the beauty of the form. This is the beauty of the formless. You have known the beauty of the body. This is the beauty of the soul. You have known the beauty of the periphery. This is the beauty of the center. This is everlasting. And if this happens with a person, the same becomes more and more possible by and by with things also. You look at a flower with no judgment, and suddenly the heart of the flower is open for you. There is invitation. When you don't judge, there is invitation. When you judge, the flower also closes, because in the judgment is the enemy. In the judgment is the critique, not the lover. In the judgment there is logic, not love. In the judgment there is superficiality, not depth. The flower simply closes. And when I say simply closes, it is not a metaphor. It happens exactly as I say it happens. You go near a tree, you touch the tree. If you touch with judgment, the tree is not available there. If you touch it without any judgment, just you feel it, with no mind at all. You embrace it. You sit by the side of it. Suddenly, the very ordinary tree has become the Bodhi tree. Infinite compassion flowing from the tree towards you. You will be enveloped. The tree will participate with you many secrets. And this is how even rocks can be penetrated to their very heart. When a Buddha touches a rock, it is no more a rock. It is alive. It has a heart throbbing in it. When you touch a person, it is a rock, already dead. Your touch dulls everything, because in the touch is the judgment, the enemy, not the friend. If this is so with ordinary things, how much more it will be so when you come across higher stages of being and consciousness. Don't judge. Millions have missed Buddha. Millions have missed Jesus. Millions have missed Zarathustra just by judging. Don't repeat that stupid pattern. Whenever you go to a man of even a little higher consciousness than you, don't judge, remain open. Much help will be possible. If you go with a judgment, you don't go at all. If you go with a judgment, you have already missed. Put aside the mind.